They chained her people, so she chained their history. The Portuguese Empire didn't just bring ships and steel to Africa. They brought chains, guns, and colonial lies. They expected fear. They expected surrender. What they got was Queen Nzinga, a woman who turned humiliation into warfare, a queen who sat on her servant's back just to prove she would never sit below her oppressors. She didn't beg. She didn't run. She built an empire out of ashes and rage. And if you've never heard of her, that's not a coincidence. This is TimeWeave, where the past fights back. Today, we're telling the story they tried to bury. Because if history remembered Queen Nzinga, the myths of colonization and conquest would fall apart. She didn't just resist slavery. She hunted it down. The 1600s. While Europe is writing Shakespeare and launching expeditions, Africa is being invaded. The Portuguese have a foothold on the west coast, Luanda and Angola. But their hunger grows. They want slaves, timber, ivory, territory. So they expand inland, raiding kingdoms, pitting African leaders against each other. The kingdom of Ndongo becomes the front line. Once proud, now pressured from all sides, by Portugal, by rival tribes, by betrayal. But inside the palace walls, one woman is watching it all unfold. Nzinga Mbande, born into royalty, born into chaos, born to fight. She sees the weakness of kings, the brutality of empire, the betrayal of brothers, and she begins planning something no one sees coming. In 1622, her brother sends her to negotiate peace with the Portuguese governor. It's a trap. They offer no seat, only shame. A signal, you are beneath us. Nzinga doesn't blink. She turns her servant into a throne, sits down, locks eyes with the governor, and begins dictating terms. That moment alone should be in every history book. She wasn't just fighting for peace. She was declaring herself a queen in a room full of men who thought she was prey. And she wins. Slave raids pause, for now. But Nzinga has seen the truth. The empire lies, and next time, she won't bring treaties. She'll bring war. Shortly after, her brother dies. Some say he killed himself. Others say Nzinga arranged it. The truth? Lost. What matters is what came next. She takes the throne, to the horror of male nobles. They try to unseat her. Nzinga responds by seizing another kingdom, Matamba, a strategic, fertile region, perfect for launching war and sheltering slaves. She turns refugees into warriors, women into soldiers, children into survivors. And Matamba, it becomes a fortress of resistance. They called her a savage, a rebel, a heretic. But the truth is worse. For them, Nzinga wasn't a rebel. She was a strategist, and every empire that underestimated her paid for it in blood. Nzinga's war wasn't just fought with weapons. It was fought with ideas. She rewrote the rules of African resistance, created fake alliances to trap enemies, used Christianity as camouflage for diplomacy, planted spies in Portuguese forts, built escape routes for enslaved people, encouraged intertribal marriages to unify her region. She turned guerrilla warfare into an art form. Her army struck under cover of fog, ambushed convoys, disappeared into jungle, and she wasn't hiding behind generals. She led from the front, on horseback, in armor, in her 50s, bloodied, battle-scarred, unbroken. She didn't just protect her people. She gave them dignity, identity, and vengeance. Portuguese forces suffered years of humiliating defeats, so they tried other methods. They sent missionaries to tame her. She outquoted the Bible. They sent spies to kill her. She killed them first. They bribed her allies. She flipped them. The empire, for all its firepower, couldn't kill one truth. Nzinga was smarter than all of them. And by the time she was 60, she had outlived 4 Portuguese governors. Her secret? Adaptation. She knew when to fight, when to vanish, when to smile, and when to strike. In her final years, Nzinga began preparing for peace, not out of weakness, but out of legacy. She built schools, opened trade, trained successors, and when she finally died in 1663, aged nearly 80, her enemies celebrated, but they were too late. Nzinga had already planted the seeds of rebellion, and her kingdom, Matamba, remained free for decades. She died as she lived, unconquered. What if she wasn't the only one? What if Africa had dozens of Nzingas, warrior queens, silent kings, visionaries erased by empire? What if the true history of Africa wasn't weakness, but power buried beneath someone else's story? And what if we're just beginning to uncover it? Nzinga wasn't a myth. She was a warning. If this story woke something up in you, hit like. Let the algorithm do its job. Subscribe to TimeWeave, because we're not done. We're telling the stories that colonizers buried and textbooks ignored. And share this with someone who still thinks Africa was silent in its own history. Because the past belongs to those who fought, bled, and refused to be erased. Nzinga was one. Now, how many more are waiting to be remembered?